I know there was a discussion and a new MOI, I believe, on that, to service that area.
I think that we were really kind of getting a deal and not paying our fair share for the amount that Belfield serves into Stark County. And we would always just give Billings County a little bit and not give our full Stark County percentage share. And that's when the auditor and their state's attorney came and explained it.
Right. Is this gonna be the same on, moving forward then, or is the 270 a backfill amount for previous years to try to make it equitable?
I believe this was going to be,
I think this is,
This is the JPA you guys entered into. 20% of their overall.
Okay, got it.
I think this is a permanent.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's 20% of the previous year's actual expenditures annually to be the next fiscal year.
That's a big number, you know, when you look at. You can somewhere get 10,000.
Yeah. But we can't afford to lose them either, because they're talking about closing up.
if we didn't help them out, that's right, they were going to end up closing up in Belfield and either moving their ambulance to
Medora, wasn't it?
either Freiburg, or they were gonna move it, excuse me, to, the Fairfield area. Because they'd have to have it, they would have to have it in Billings County.
That's right.
They couldn't keep it in Stark if we weren't going to contribute the 20%.
Volunteers to run their ambulance service, so things essentially kind of came.
I remember the discussions, I just didn't
Yep.
remember the particulars, so.
This 270 represents how much of their budget?
20%.
20%.
20%?
So is that a, is that a yearly contract, Amanda, or is that a,
Every 12 months, and if we don't give notice, it'll just automatically renew. 12 months, and then we'd have to give them. We have to give notice by June 1st by June 1st for the next year, because they're billing us a year behind, and obviously it's gonna take
Right.
that long, at least, for them to try to make arrangements on what Belfield would do as far as ambulance coverage.
so we are locked into that 270 this year?
Yeah. For the ambulance, yeah, because we didn't, like, we entered into it for this year coming up. So next year, if we want to be, out of that, we'd have to give them notice by June 1st.
The way I understood it is that the 270 is just the estimate, but we won't know the
Right,
final
we'll get paid-
number
We get, I think.
until the end of the year.
Right, we get billed a year behind because they won't know their actual expenditures until year end. So I think what this number represents is just what they are anticipating as what their expenditures are gonna be, so that we can have enough money or appropriate amount of money set aside, and then at the end of the year, we'll get the bill of what it actually was.
Okay.
So they're billing a year behind, was my understanding. Yeah.
Okay. So it could be more, it could be less. It's just
She said it wouldn't be more.
She didn't think so, right? That was a pretty.
Yeah.
We had looked at quite a few years previous, and they thought that was a very realistic number.
okay.
Pretty tough right now to know what the city gives to domestic violence. Cause all it's got under donations is county and city contributions as one. Do any other counties donate to them?
I'm not sure if any other counties donate to them. I'm guessing probably not, but I'm not entirely sure on that. I can tell you that based on this part, our portion of that county city contribution would be right around the 35,000 then. So the rest would be
City?
city.
Looks like they. So domestic violence rents that building, or is that their building?
That's theirs.
Cause it says facility rent. Well, that would be a pretty cheap rent anyway. I wonder what they're renting there.
I just know that this organization works hard during the year which is great, I mean, for fundraisers. And a lot of them, and for what they do. And how busy they are right now, it would just be nice to be able to help them out a little bit more.
Looks like they went backwards last year, or this is the budget for this year. Yeah, it looks like they're, oh yeah. April
looks-
20. Yeah, so it looks like they went
Yep.
backwards this year.
Yeah.
There's nothing to prevent them from coming in during the year with a emergency request for some additional funding, is there?
No.
No. I just thought it would be a little bit easier for them to do their budget so they don't have to be in the negative. If we went up to, it's that 35,000, if we went up to 50 on theirs.
Guess I probably wouldn't have a problem with the 15, but then it's gonna become extra 15,000 every year. Which they probably deserve it.
I mean,
I mean-
you're gonna get these sheets every year, so if you wanna put it at 50 for 2023 and then put it back down to 35 the following year, that is entirely up to the commission. You can change any of these dollar
Right.
amounts, you know.
Just that we forget that it was this and we raised, whatever reason we raised it for, so.
Except it's always harder to
Take
take
it
it
away.
away. So I just, from my own beliefs, is that if there's a financial issue that comes up where they have a shortfall, they should come to the podium and make a request. I'm not opposed to any additional money, just the way we're doing it.
Then inflation is hurting them as well as it's hurting the rest of us, so. Instead of them scrambling and trying to figure out how to make the budget work and then having to come to us versus just having the luxury of doing it.
Another alternative would be you could leave it at 35 on this contribution sheet, because these were levied, this is kind of where we're levying for. That's coming out of our general budgets. And you could do a one-time distribution out of the ARPA funding to help if you wanted to do that instead of changing it on the contributions side. That's another option.
And our ARPA balance right now is what?
1,988,184.50.
Okay.
I think the other issue to look at is collectively, if you look at these organizations, and my recollection is they've all come in front of us and said, we appreciate whatever we give. They're appreciative of it. And I'd have a little structural issue where we come and we handpick one now to give additional funds. I kind of agree with Commissioner Zander. If they know darn well that if they had a need for funding, we could get to them. We would support them and give it to them. But then you go down that list, and then, do you have to do the same for all of them? Because they all do a good job. They all contribute to our our betterment of our community. And so that's the only thing that's in the back of my mind. If they came up to the podium today and said they needed 50 to make it work, I would support that. Or I would also potentially look at agreeing with what Karen says, if we could do a one-time ARPA thing. So that's just my food for thought there.
Out of all those departments, they're the only ones that take in people on an emergency basis. You know, and take in women and children
And men.
and men, you know, on emergency basis. So that's why sometimes I just think that for the amount of money that we have right now, I just think that the fact that we are giving domestic violence 35,000 a year just isn't enough. I don't know. I mean, I agree. All the other departments are very important. I just would hate to have to see them come up 3-4 times in a year with the fact that they're struggling with their budget as it is. But that's up to the board. Is there any others? If not, we can look at the 2023 ARPA funding if we don't,
Do we need to make any motions on this, or do we just pass it on?
no, I don't think we need
One
to.
motion at the end of everything, or do we motion each one of these as we go through them?
I don't think you need a motion for each one of them as you go through. I would maybe suggest a motion for the contributions and the ARPA separately. Just if you want to approve the entire contribution sheet, if you want to approve the entire ARPA sheet or make changes, I'd probably do those ones separate from the overall budget so that the entities know, but that's up to you.
Okay, could I have a motion on the 2023 contributions as is?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call vote. Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Commissioner Franchek.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Chair votes no. Motion carried. Now we'll go into the 2023 ARPA funding requests.
Okay, these ones were not levied for, so the other one is part of our regular budget. These ones are not levied for. You can see the current balance not yet pledged or sent out. And then these were the requests that we had that were above and beyond, contributions or, not normal, regular requests. So that's where they're on this sheet.
We could always add the domestic violence on here, just like we added the elder care, so they could catch up with their budget. That's why they're added. The Stark County Council of Aging.
Now, Elder Care and the Stark County Council on Aging both requested that additional support in their documents that they sent over. Do you have a request from domestic violence that they?
No.
No. Okay.
So Karen, the 1988 number, does that amount include the CARES Act from 2020, or is that separate from this number?
The CARES Act is separate.
Okay.
Yep, so we do still have some of the CARES Act as well. I would say at this point, I would estimate that to be around the 300
Okay,
that we have left of CARES Act. This is just ARPA.
and that's both funding years? The 20?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, that is what is left in its entirety.
And are there any allocations on which one we can spend or how it can be allocated? On the CARES
Not
Act?
really. They kind of lifted that
Okay.
for the ARPA, especially CARES Act. I think the ARPA especially, more has to be, divvied out, whereas the CARES Act will eventually, I think at the end of 2024, will get swallowed into the general fund. So it's just kind of where you guys think it's at. I just put the ARPA on here for now because those ones are the ones that I actually have to report on at this point is the ARPA.
And we have no further commitments that we've made that have not been funded.
Correct.
So I would make a request, Madam Chairman, that we take this and put it at the end of the meeting, because I know for sure there are a couple other conversations that are gonna take place today that potentially could include ARPA funding. So rather than us do it up front, if we could delay that, unless there's a reason not to do that.
Okay, we can delay the 2023 ARPA funding request till the end of the meeting. Next, you see your state aid and distribution payments. I don't think we have any changes on that.
So with the state aid distribution, for any of the commissioners that are wondering, we did make, if you look in the percentage line, that's when we went through and adjusted last year what percentages everything was getting, and those were based on last year. So if you have any percentage changes that you would like to make for 2023, then I would just need to know so that can start in January.
Does anybody see any changes? If not, we'll make a motion on the state aid distribution payments as is. I need a motion.
I move to approve the state aid distribution payments.
I would second that if we're talking about the percentage column, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I would second that.
Okay, moved and seconded. Commissioner Zander.
Aye.
Commissioner Messer.
Aye.
Commissioner Franchek.
Aye.
Commissioner Marsh.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion carried.
The other one that I included in there was the oil and gas distribution. And just so that the commission is aware, that's just kind of for you to know kind of where what payment amounts have been going in. So you guys could kind of see the position on that, because that all has to go into the general fund, and then it can be used out of there. But there doesn't need to be a motion or anything on that, because it's by law has to go into the general fund until we get back up to a certain dollar amount.
I'll make the motion to approve the oil and gas distribution estimate or whatever.
I don't
We don't
think
need a
we need
motion on this one.
You don't?
No, we don't.
Nope, this is just to show you where the dollar amounts have been so far.
Then as you can see how they're going up, they are gonna go up more than this.
Could you?
I'm sorry. I never really finished it, so. But I would withdraw it.
Commissioner Messer, is there a spot you wanna go to where there is going to be money, where you wanted to allocate money for ARPA funding requests?
Well, the reason I made that motion was we had talked about, we started a discussion about potentially county employee compensation, including a potential for an inflation payment, and having that inflation payment be paid out of the ARPA funds. So I would still think that part get pushed back later so that we can go through those individual budgets, and then we can deal with that, rather than try to deal with it in advance.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the annual budget for year ending December 31st, 2023?
Well, again, I think that's a cut and paste. I think that's for information purposes only at this point, because if you go to number 9, the amount to be levied, I think that's going to be a formal motion by us. So I think what Karen provides here is good information. And again, I think this would be something that would be after we go through the individual departments so that we know we can fill in that line.
All these, so with your packets, your individual departments, I take the number that is highlighted in the mint green color, and that is what is put into the expenditure sheet. So this is like a total sheet. So if you guys go through individual departments and make changes or anything like that, that will change your total sheet.
Yep.
So I would just start with the individuals, and then that'll tell me if I need to make changes on the overall.
Okay, so we can start with the governing board, the general fund. Well, let's see, let's go with. Let's start with the governing board. Are there any changes?
Again, just a quick question, on the travel to 7,000, is that historically pretty accurate? I'm seeing year-to-date, we're 432, but I know we have the NADCO conference coming up, and 2021 was $2,000.
Well, what happened in 2021 is the hotel that everybody stayed at for NADCO seemed to not invoice us for that until 2022 because they were about 6 months behind. And so we will be paying that bill in 2022 for 2021. So that's why that's $2,000.
Okay,
So in 2022, that amount's going to be quite higher, well, almost double, because we didn't pay the travel, the hotel bills in 2021.
I believe Commissioner Zander's asking about the 7,000.
yeah, and and I agree, I understand where you're going. The 2022 budget approved was 7,000 for travel. We've only used 432, and what you're saying, there's a big bill coming yet.
From 2021 that we're going to have to pay in 2020, that we paid in 2022.
Got it, okay.
Yeah.
And that one's about 2,000?
No. So the $2,000 is what we actually paid out in travel in 2021.
Okay.
But there was a big chunk that the commission used in 2021 to go to the NDACO conference that did not get paid until this year because of their invoicing issues.
Okay.
And so 2,000, it's probably more like 4,000, I would say,
Okay.
from 2021, but it's going to reflect in 2022's actual.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Do you know what that dollar amount is gonna be? Or,
It's already been paid. I can find that out. It was just like I said, it was for the hotels from the NDACO conference, and they were behind by at least 6 months on their billing, and kind of surprised us with it in April or May. So
yeah, okay. I'm just asking that question, if that funds from, the remaining funds from this 2022 year is gonna carry over to 2023? No.
Nope, it all goes back into the general. Yep.
Just
So
wondering.
we might have to make an adjustment at the year-end meeting in 2022 for that line item because of that bill from 2021. But that'll come at the end of 2022. So $7,000 is just kind of what it's been at in case the commission decides to go anywhere else other than the NDACO conference.
So do I have a motion to approve the governing board?
Do we have to go through all these separately?
We don't have to approve them separately. If you just want to say that looks good as a commission, and then we can go on to the next one.
Because at the end of it, we're gonna make a motion to approve what we've done or not done, so we don't have to approve all these separately, right?
Right, we're not approving them separately. This is just so that we can hammer out any last things, and then in October is when you approve the
Right.
final budget. Yep.
Okay. Human resources?
So with human resources, what I highlighted in the light green is what I currently have on your total sheet for what I am, levying for tax-wise. And that's 89,484. And so if there's, and that's with the 5%, I guess. Maybe you guys have different thoughts on that, I don't know.
So the salary risk management, that's what I was talking about before. That's gone, the 1952.98.
Yep, that's gone. So if you notice, the column is empty. There was no budget for that in 2022, and there is no budget for that anymore.
Okay.
Oh, I see what you're saying, because there was money spent in 2022, and we wanted them, that was supposed to go away. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Okay, 2022 budget. I'm going to have to look into that one because it should have been combined together, and I don't know why they kept that part separate, because that line was supposed to go away. Or you guys just combined them. No, you combined them back in 2022, I thought. Yeah, you did.
I don't think at last year's budget, it was a mid-year, action, and I don't know what the date on that was. But I think moving forward in 2023,
It's
that
combined.
column is accurate.
Okay.
Right.
So 113, the salary risk management will be empty, then it'll be gone.
Correct. It's in red, and it'll be on our sheets until probably 2 more years until there's no dollar amount there.
Sure.
Because we have to put actuals in there. But that means it's going away. It's in red.
Because we didn't combine that to the other salary, because that's already in the job description, correct?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, the auditor?
So what I levied for is what is in green, the 369, 421.30, and I also have these two highlighted in green up top for my salary and Lana's, because there was a motion made last meeting in those dollar amounts. So I wanted to make sure that, because there was a motion made, that those stayed in green.
Are there any questions? If not, we will go to the planner.
I just wanted to mention, I spoke with the new city attorney, or city engineer for the city of Dickinson this morning, and his plan is to keep Steve as 50% over there.
To keep with the planner 50/50?
Right.
Okay.
So they are planning on hiring someone else, so he doesn't have to be there so much?
They are planning later this year possibly hiring a planner for the city, yes.
I don't know. I thought they combined two positions to make one position.
But he told me this morning he wanted to bring on a planner too, so.
Steve, you're on the line, aren't you?